We live in a very confusing world. It's confusing for us ordinary citizens. It's obviously confusing for politicians. It's confusing for commentators on it. And it's confusing for people who are trying to do something to help other people. For example, in the field of psychotherapy and counselling, there are between 400 and 900 different models available to choose from to try and help people. Clearly, that is an indication that the field of psychology and psychotherapy and counselling is at a primitive stage of development. And to do something about this, some years ago now, us and our friends started to use the term human givens. We used it to encompass a larger organising idea, a larger school of psychotherapy and psychology that was developing then. And I think we should start by saying why this human givens approach is not just another model of psychotherapy, but is something much, much more, which has ramifications far beyond the field of psychotherapy and counselling.
Yes, Simon, it is because of the very state of chaos that you have described that exists in the field of psychotherapy and education that the human givens approach was pioneered. The chaos that exists within psychotherapy and counselling tells us that there's something fundamentally wrong in the way we are approaching our understanding of human nature. If we were to look at any other science, whether it's physics or biochemistry, you don't find 400 different schools of biochemistry, 400 different schools of physics, for example. There is a common ground of understanding as to how the discipline should be approached. Clearly, psychology and psychotherapy has evolved without agreement as to what the common ground of understanding should be. And that is what the human givens set out to set up. It set out to ask the most fundamental questions that were skipped over. The most fundamental question with regard to understanding a human being is, we have to say, well, what is a human being? Now, a human being is a life form. A life form is something distinct from an inanimate object. An inanimate object such as a stone clearly isn't a living thing. Now, if a life form from the other side of the cosmos were to land on the planet Earth, the first task we would want to do is to find out, well, what are the living things here and what are they like? And the test that would set itself is that a living thing is something that takes in nourishment from its environment to continually rebuild itself. The second characteristic of a living thing is that it has an internal innate guidance program that guides it to extract and to seek the right nourishment from its environment. This is as true of a rare orchid. It needs exactly the right nourishment in climatic conditions. It's true of all living things. This is true of a zebra. It's true of a bullfinch. And it's equally true, of course, of human beings. Human beings, as a life form, have a need to get certain nourishment from their environment, and they have an innate guidance system that helps direct it towards seeking that nourishment. Now, that's the fundamental thing. And now, it follows from this that when a life form succeeds in getting the right nourishment and absorbing, it's healthy. So it must follow for human beings that if human beings succeed in getting the right nourishment from their environment and absorbing it, they will be healthy. This literally means that you will not have mental illness. If a human being is getting the right nourishment from their environment and absorbing it, they cannot be schizophrenic, they cannot be manic depressive, they cannot have obsessive compulsive disorders, they cannot have addictions. This must be the most empowering, fundamental piece of truth that should lie at the heart of psychology and psychotherapy.
So let's be clear about this then. The term human givens refers to what we could call innate knowledge that a human being comes into the world with, a baby comes into the world with, in the form of physical and emotional needs and this guidance system.
Exactly that. And we need to look at what this knowledge is. What are these needs that are instinctive in a human being? And we need to understand how the guidance system functions so that we can operate it effectively. The combination of these two elements are what we collectively refer to as the human givens.